For tuning in to Tola Talks. We got the day after Christmas, December 26, 2025, which is also called the best shopping day of the year. I think it is. You're heading to the malls, probably get some good deals, returns, etc. It's also called the worst food hangover day of the year. Or maybe that's what I'm calling it, guys, because I don't know about you, but I have a food hangover for sure, and I have a confession to make. I failed to make my weight. You guys hear, last Friday I said I needed to lose 2 pounds. Well, guess what? I put on a pound. So I'm 3 pounds up. Not good, not good, which means between now and New Year's Day, 6 days, aside from getting in my 15 minutes a day workout, got to lose 3 pounds, which no worries. I will do that. I got to do that. I got to cut back. I'm going to start today. It's always today, right? Going to kick tomorrow or start today. But how about this? There's a little small victory in the war. I like to say these. Today's my 30th show, live streaming Tola Talks, coming back on the air. And, my goal was to get 30 shows in. I moved to Indianapolis in August. So I said, I got a couple of months left. I said, if I could do 10 a month, September, October, November. Well, I started September 30th to get this show going. So I had 3 months to get 30 shows. And I did. Kudos, which means I could maybe do 120 shows next year. Who knows? I did that in 88 days. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. So today we're going to be talking about, is year-round school better? Did a show about uniforms, right? Whether uniforms were worthy or should be worn, worthy to be worn. And we're going to do this today. But first, let me give you, I told you I would do a little movie review. Now, I went to see The Housemaid the other day. Let me give you my review. Well, first, let's talk about the movie. All right. It was made for $35 million, which is considered a moderately priced thriller. It's not a huge, big budget, but good size. That means they need to make about 88 million to recover that money. They've only made about 28 million so far. My guess is, yeah, this movie's probably going to move to Netflix and maybe they recover it there. But what's it about? All right, it follows a young woman with a troubled past, Sydney Sweeney. Her name is Millie Calloway in the film, played by Sydney, who becomes a live-in housekeeper. I'm not going to give you too much here. Housekeeper for a wealthy family. Amanda Seyfried and Sklenner plays the man. They're the Winchesters. Winchester, I remember him from MASH. And they have a daughter, Cecilia. They're based out of Great Neck, Long Island, New York kind of film, wealthy family. It was filmed in New Jersey, actually, for 3 months, January, February, March of this year. Premiered December 19th. Like I said, it made about 28 million so far at the box office. Well, it's competing with Avatar. It's competing with David. I mentioned those movies before. So definitely a tough go with those big films. But how about this? What did the audience say about it? Right? Audiences gave it a B grade. I'll give you my score at the end of this. But audience, it's called Cinema Score. They go from F to an A plus. It was a B grade by audiences. What are the critics saying? Well, Wall Street Journal said it's a delightful hall of mirrors in which reality turns out to be subject to infinite modification. I get that. It's a little bit of a hall of mirrors that you probably do figure out more than halfway through. How about this? The Wrap gave it a positive review. Said it has twists. You'll probably see some of it coming a mile off. And more than one occasion, the twist is that the housemaid is even weirder and funnier than you expect. And that's a welcome surprise. Well, you might say it's definitely a little weird. It's definitely a little funnier than I would have expected. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 76% score, which to me, that seems high. They gave Anything But You with Sydney Sweeney a 47. So I think they're way off on that. I love that film with Glenn Powell. But how about this? This is what Rotten Tomatoes says. It's a sly throwback to the lurid thrillers that used to dominate multiplexes. Delightfully unnerving performance from Amanda Seyfried. Let me tell you, Amanda does a great job here. She really does. I mean, Sydney Sweeney, in terms of that character that she plays, well, let me jump right into it, okay? Delightfully unnerving performance. Bingo. That's kind of it. That's really the best part. I'm going to say the best part of the movie was Amanda Seyfried did a great job with her character. And Sydney Sweeney, I mean, there's not a whole lot of depth to that character, but I will say this. If you like Sydney Sweeney, which I do, and you would like to see Sydney Sweeney take her clothes off, which, hey, who doesn't? If you're a Sydney Sweeney fan, you got to go see this movie. You got to go see this movie because she's does a really good performance of I wouldn't say it's the most hottest or the sexiest sex scene on the planet. Remember 9.5 weeks with Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger? Oh my God, 1986. Now that was a great love scene, sex scene, whatever you want to call it. But Sydney has a good one here. She does a great job. You see it coming, but then again, if you like her, you got to go see this movie for sure. If you're an Amanda fan, which I am, got to go see this movie for sure. But is it a fun movie? No, not really. Is it funny? Well, it's a little more silly funny than it is really funny. Scary, kind of. Wouldn't say it's a totally scary movie. It's a thrilling movie. Thriller, kind of. Again, are the characters deep and complex? Not really. Not really. Again, except for Amanda, who's got the most interesting character in the film. Would I watch it again? Yeah, maybe on Netflix. I would not go to the movies to see it again. Would I recommend seeing it again in the movie theater? Again, you want to see Sydney Sweeney take her clothes off and a great performance from Amanda. Go right ahead. So I gave it a score. What's my score, guys? I gave it a score 3 to 3.5. I like to give a range. I gave Dust Bunny a 3 to a 3.5 because again, if you're not so much into these actors, it's a 3. If you're really wanting to see them on screen, especially Sydney, it's a 3.5. Kind of what I said about Dust Bunny. Put it in the same, it's not the same category, but I'm giving it the same relative score. Here you go, guys. I love films. I love all films and everything about films. So, it's not like it's a bad review, but again, you might want to wait until it comes on the Netflix unless you really got to get in there and see that nudity. All right. How about this? Should students go to school year round? Guys know, right? The book I wrote, The Sub, Tales of an Inner City Teacher. It's a great outsider's view, right, from a substitute's perspective, who's not on the inside of education. But let me give you the pros and let me give you the cons, and we'll talk about it. All right. Should schools, should they be open year round? Well, 10% of schools currently, there's about 3,000 schools throughout 46 states in the US that go to school all year. So they also go to school all year in Japan. They have 3 semesters. I mean, tell you, those students are the best students in the world, but they got it figured out pretty good, right? So, what are the pros? Why would you want to go to school year round? All right, it reduces learning loss, right? The summer slide, they call it, the learning loss that occurs summer. They kind of go brain dead in the summer, these students. So, it's a real positive for students because it does reduce learning loss. Number 2, it reduces time spent in the beginning of a school year for teachers reviewing what the students forgot over the summer. So it saves a lot of time. And that's great for teachers because teachers need all the time they can to be teaching these kids. Number 3, helps disadvantaged students, especially low income students, who perhaps slid a little further over the summer than the average, A student, B student. So it helps disadvantaged students. No doubt it does. Number 4, creates more flexible family time. So with these staggered breaks, right, there's less time away from school, which I think does 2 things. It gives more time to the parent to focus on their life and their work. Plus, it creates these flexible times to have bigger breaks throughout the year. Okay. Number 5, it's a more efficient use of the facilities, the actual physical structure of the school. No doubt, right? You're using these things. It's like having a store. It's my father. My father was a barber. Rest in peace to Richie the barber. Always said to me, got to keep the lights on. If you're a retailer, he was a barber. He worked 5-6 days a week, but he was there as long as he could because why not maximize if you're paying for the rent? Same thing with schools. They're sitting idle. All right, how about this? And again, it could potentially reduce capital costs per learning day, right? All right, number six, less time for childcare services, right? So for parents, especially in the summer, if you're working full time, now you got to figure out what to do with these kids. There's summer camps, costly, whatever, but it's less time for that because you're spending more time in the schools. Number seven, it's continuous learning, right? You keep the momentum going. It's like the workout. If you're working out a little bit every day, I had a great conversation with my niece yesterday. Give a shout out to my family. If you do a little bit every day, like today, right? I wasn't feeling it. Had the food hangover, up in weight, beat up a little bit. It's raining here, a nice little cloudy, rainy day. Didn't want to, but I went for 15 minutes. I'm going to go back later, finish part two, my workout. But you got to do it. Continuous learning. Number eight, it mimics the real world, right? That's what the real world's about. Nobody has off in the summer. I mean, that's like who does that? People work. People got their lives going, and it mimics again. It's just like the real world. Gets you set for the real world. Number nine, it prevents students and teachers. I like this. It's really all about burnout. So they say it prevents burnout by giving these teachers more frequent breaks. Okay. And number 10, the schools become a hub for healthcare and other services. So they can become a hub, they can become more valuable to the community. All right. All right. What about the cons? Why wouldn't you want to go to school all year? Well, aside from the students maybe complaining they don't get a summer off, they say it's number one, costly to implement. So financially, because you got higher utility bills, more utility bills, because you're going to be using the building more. But I could think we can offset that. But basically, they say operational expenses overall would increase. Number two, disrupts the summer routine, right? Summer camps, job for students, family activities, it prevents those because you don't have all that time off in the summer. All right, number three, it says logistical headaches because of a change in schedule. Well, change is good, guys, right? We know that. So, okay, we got to readjust our schedules, but that will become the new norm, right? Number four, it says inconsistent academic gain. So, research shows mixed results on students learning more. I'm going to disagree with that. I think they will learn more by being there more. But anyway, number five, a teacher and student burnout. So this is like two sides of the same coin. They're going to argue teachers get burned out more because they don't get more time off. Now, I agree with the pro. I think it benefits burnout. And number six says it negatively affects tourism. Well, it does, right? I guess there's less time in the summer to be traveling and doing all that, but you'll still get your vacations in. And how about this? Number seven, it says it negatively offsets time and experience for anything outside the classroom. Well, what are these kids doing outside the class? The kids I taught, inner city kids, they're on the street, hustling on the street, maybe. But anyway, like I said, they do it in Japan. They do it year round. They do a summer, winter, spring session. So here's what I think. I'm all for it, without a doubt. So right now, kids go to school for 180 days. So what I recommend is, and they do it from 7:30 to like, you could say 3:30, but basically you're getting in about 7 hours a day, right? And that's 180 days. So what I say is we go to 210. We go 30 days more, but an hour less each day. So if we're picking up 30 days and we're doing 6 hour days and not seven, 6 times 30 is 180, right? If we have 180 days currently and we chop off an hour, we pick up 180 hours. So it's a wash in terms of time spent, but you get more efficient in the building. Now you do a grab and go breakfast from 8:30 to 9. So you open the school door at 8:30 instead of 7:30. Now the teachers can kind of file in and let them grab something instead of serving breakfast, instead of having homeroom. That's like a waste of time. These kids aren't doing anything in there. Plus, if they're coming in late anyway. So you make it 9 o'clock start time. Boom, that's the first class. No food allowed in the classrooms because that's a mess. Trust me, it's all over the floor. You serve them lunch. That's great. You give them a grab and go, maybe a piece of fruit, something simple in the morning. Boom, you give them the juice, whatever, you give them a really good lunch. So you're cutting back expenses on foods for these children, which, okay, it's going to shift it to the parents. But guess what? These kids don't eat. They throw the breakfast on the ground anyway. And again, you're picking up the same amount of time. Now you're going 70-day semesters times 3. That's 210. You guys know simple math. 70-day semester, that's like 14, 15 weeks. It's perfect. And again, the school is tight. It's a tighter schedule. You go 9 to 2, you get your little break, and then teachers they're not working that much more. They can get out of there by 2:33 instead of 3:34, so they pick up a little shorter day. All right, they got to work summers, whatever. Hey, when I was in high school, we had split sessions. We had so many students in our school. I went to school freshman year, everybody goes in the afternoon from 12:30 to 5:30. It was 5 hours. And the morning session was 7:30 to 12:30, 5 hours. So you had these 5-hour sessions, right? And hey, it worked out great. Now, you didn't have lunch, you didn't kind of have that extra time, homeroom, whatever, but worked for me. Second year, my sophomore year, I went in the morning because I played a varsity sport. All right. So these are the reasons why I think students should go to school all year. And number one, they learn more. They're in the groove more. It's like they're in it. Okay. You keep the momentum. They retain more. I think they retain more. What are you taking a break for? These kids check out in the beginning of May and they don't get started back until June. They lose a lot of time, a lot of momentum. Number three, it mimics real life and the lifestyles of what people do on a daily basis. So it's going to mimic a real life lifestyle. Number four, more breaks are better for burnout. I totally believe better for the students, better for the teachers, better for everyone involved, better for all the professionals, people working there. You get more breaks. You get a bunch of little breaks. Still get your days off. Number five, costs are offset. The increased costs are offset with the money you save on food. And again, teachers aren't working more per se. Okay. We're putting in less hours on any given day. Number six, again, it's the same number of hours worked. So for educators, they're still working the same amount of hours. They got plenty of time, have the personal, if you're talking about personal development, they call that, if you're doing that, then you work it into the new schedule. Number seven, you're restructuring society that is better positioned for year-round success from everybody. So basically, you're restructuring, you're changing our societal norms, which we need to be doing anyway, especially in these public schools, right? Again, sticking to accountability. We got to restructure, got to rechange the thinking. And number eight, it works in Japan. It'll work here. And it's working here, like I said, for 10% of public schools. Again, I believe it's maximum learning, maximum life skills learning. You're with teachers more. You're in a structured environment more. The learning continues. You got the momentum. So there you go. It's a resounding yes that students should be going to school year round. All right, guys, there you have it for today. I know it's a Friday, so enjoy it. Enjoy the weekend. Again, if you're still recovering from that food hangover, you gotta pull back and get yourself in the gym. So have a great day, everyone. Have an awesome weekend. We'll catch up with you next week. And as always, get your workout in. Peace.